Good evening to everyone here in Brussels, and good evening to everyone who is following us online. A very warm welcome indeed to the 5th edition of the Megalizzi-Niedzielski Prize for Aspiring Journalists. Ladies and gentlemen, we have today for you a special edition. We will have 3 winners instead of the 2 winners, as was the case in the past editions. We'll have 2 winners selected by a jury, and the 3rd winner who will receive a prize for our photo competition. This prize is awarded by the public. Obviously, you, me, all of us, we want to know who the 3 winners are. But before we discover that, let us first remember why we are here. We are here to honor the memory of Antonio Megalizzi and Bartek Orent-Niedzielski. Both men embodied excellence in journalism and a very strong belief in the values that the European Union is fighting for. This event and this prize are for both of them. It's about passing their journalistic flame to the next generation, to young journalists that are showing great potential and a strong attachment to the EU values. So I want to extend a special thanks to the families, friends, colleagues of Antonio and Bartek who are in the audience with us tonight, or those who are following us online. Buonasera I benvenuti, dobre wieczór I witam. Give them an applause. Now I'm going to take you back to the year 2019. 2019 was the first edition of this prize, and one of the winners was Tea Mihanovic from Croatia. Tea is now a TV reporter in Croatia, and the very good news I have is that she is sitting next to me. Tea, let's have a little chat, will you? So, you are the first ever winner of the Megalizzi-Niedzielski Prize. Could you tell us how this changed your life?
Well, at the time I was 21, a student coming first time to Brussels from Croatia. And I remember I was at the airport and I told my mom, I hope that I will not hate Brussels. I hope that this will be a nice trip. And then in the end, this really happened, and it was for our 21-year-old student very amazing thing to happen. But actually it really did change my life, because I was studying political science and journalism was just one of the options for me. And later with time I tried project management, EU communication, etc. But there was always something driving me towards trying again with journalism, because maybe the members of families of Antonio and Bartek don't remember, but actually we talked, especially with Luana, and you told me about how much journalism meant to Antonio, and how important it would be for you that I pursue and that I follow in their footsteps. So somehow that really remained one of big motivators for me to do what I do now. And now I work in Croatia at N1 Television, which is a CNN affiliate in Croatia, and my colleague is also here.
Fantastic, thank you. Listen, you may... Yes. You have noticed that we have a bunch of young journalists here on stage, and also the people in the room are very young, all of them. Do you have any professional advice that you could give, in particular to young, aspiring journalists?
I mean, I wouldn't take myself so seriously to give you a very serious professional advice, but I guess this thing that I'm doing now is also kind of showing that you just need to improvise, and you just need to dare to step out of your comfort zone, because I feel like when I was younger, I would always critique myself very much, and then when you realize that you are really your biggest enemy, you overthink so much about yourself, your own mistakes, and the others don't even notice it that much. And really, I think that we are just putting so much pressure on ourselves and not trying enough. And then, I don't know, when you try, for example, to apply for such a thing as this project, I don't know, I was talking to the others, they also didn't expect to be here now. So I guess once you really dare to step out of your comfort zone, you get great things happening to you. So yeah, just improvise and get out there.
Thank you. Very good advice. Thank you very much, Thea. We have with us here, ladies and gentlemen, 9 young, brilliant, fantastic, promising, talented journalists. They've made it to the finals, and 8 of them are with us here on stage. Maybe good to know that they were selected from more than 250 applicants from the European Union and from the neighboring countries. Before we're going to award to 3 of them the prize, I think it's useful and important that we have a little chat with each one of them. And first I'm gonna ask a few questions to Albert Thompson. Albert, hi. Albert, you write about politics, law, and crime. I have to say I love that combination. And you've written in your portfolio that you are determined on not just informing, but orienting the reader in the world that is getting increasingly complex by the day. What did you mean by that?
To me, it's very important with the increasing presence of social media and an increasingly complex world that journalism is not anymore just informing the reader or listener or viewer. It is also, or even more, orientating the reader to make sense of the world and of the information that we give them and that they receive on social media like X or Facebook or YouTube, all that. Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's very, very true. And then a very difficult question for you. The situation in Group H of the football Euro qualifiers is very tight with 4 teams, Slovenia, Denmark, Finland and Kazakhstan, who are tied 12-13 points. Do you believe, Albert from Denmark, that Denmark will qualify for the European Championship?
A very easy question, actually. Of course, and I also believe that we will qualify as number 1. Of course, we have Rasmus Højlund, who is a top scorer in the group, and he will score a hat-trick again and again and again.
Thank you very much. I do have to make a little confession here. I don't know anything about football, so I'm not sure I understood your reply. And even worse, I didn't understand my own question. But thank you very much. Give an applause to Albert, please. And then we have Antonina Lozanova from Bulgaria. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you something about Euro 2024, the football stuff. I understand you're a mentor of a youth photography club and that you have high ambitions with this club. Tell us about those.
I teach young people within my hometown the basic knowledge of photography. We do workshops, we go outside in the city, we shoot different things. I even invite more teachers so that they can also teach the young people some interesting stories. We're basically doing everything that excites the young people. And my biggest dream is that one day I will manage to make like an audiovisual center that will be fully equipped in Vidin and that I could teach young people how to get in the depths of photography and videography.
Thank you. We dream with you. You're also working for a regional media organization in northwestern Bulgaria, and you've said that you are writing positive news. Why positive news?
Well, northwestern Bulgaria is more than just one of the poorest regions of Europe. There are people there that have amazing stories and achievements, so I started actively sharing them. I want to encourage my fellow citizens that our town is not a lost cause and that they can stay there, they can make families there, love each other and evolve as persons. I made this decision myself. I think that is what is like, that is how my town will keep on going better for young persons to return and to write our positive stories there.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Give a hand to this very positive person, Antonio. And then we have Clara Morelli from Italy. Clara, you work for Will Media Italy. You made several videos, and your latest videos focused on economics and finance. Not easy stuff, I would say. What would you say some important concepts, elements, lessons that you've learned during your research, and things that you think people should know about this?
Thank you for the question. Hi, everyone. So my favorite thing in the world is why we can't just print more money and how inflation works. So very briefly, it's about purchasing power. So if the underlying value of that money doesn't change, we have the illusion of having more money in our hands, but what we can afford with that money, it's much less. So this has to do a lot with the current debate on inflation, and I get this question a lot, so here you have it.
Wonderful. And now a very sensitive question. You have aced your studies with the maximum grades. What was your secret?
Okay, what a question. I don't know. I think we should, as young students, young people, stop obsessing over performance and start enjoying learning more and focused on just understanding and being passionate. That would be my take on this.
Be passionate, wonderful. Thank you very much. An applause for our financial biscuit. And then we have Imo Touré from France. Imo, you are fluent in two very easy languages, Japanese and Korean. Why just learn one language, of course, if you can learn two? You've been working and studying in Korea. And my question for you is, what can European journalists learn from Korea and Korean journalists?
Thank you for the question. One should always remember the state of Korean journalism, which, like, the country was still a dictatorship 30 years ago. So right now, journalism really developed in such a short amount of time, which is a thing that we should be impressed of. But there's one thing that I think we could learn from them is how they tackle disasters in their own country and how, like, journalists work about them, and also specifically when a tragedy happens, how there's also psychological support for journalists, which is something that I think lacks in France, for example, for journalists, where they don't necessarily receive a lot of psychological support after witnessing horrible disasters. So I think that's what we could learn from Korean journalists. Yeah.
Thank you. You're also passionate about photography, and your portfolio has really a collection of extremely beautiful portraits, I have to say. What is the secret for you of a good portrait?
First off, thank you. And second of all, I would say it's very important that you remember you're not just taking a picture of someone, you're saying a story. You're telling a story to everyone through this portrait. So think about it. Think, what do I want to show through the face of this person? And also about its environment. Like, think really hard about it, about how you will compose the portrait. Do you want to show emotions? Do you want to tell a story of what happened for this person? Is the person happy? And I think if you think first about what story you want to tell, the portrait will come out very good. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm applause. And then we go to Malia Leticia Konku. Welcome.
Hello.
Like Imo, you have been studying and working abroad, but on the other side of the globe in Canada. Did you notice any difference in journalistic approach between Europe and Canada?
First of all, thank you for the question. I feel like the differences I've noticed are more interlinked with my journey as a journalist, more than the media landscape as a whole. I feel like I'm in a really sweet spot right now because on the one hand, I've finished my studies there in Canada, then I freelanced for a bit, and then I got employed officially. But all throughout that journey, I really got to experiment with journalism in a really fun, creative, and sometimes informal way. And I really feel like it has everything to do with Montreal's DNA. But on the other hand, I feel really, really lucky because I still get to write in French, even though I'm on the other side of the globe. And it really helps to, strengthen the link I have with my home country, with the culture that shaped me, and with Europe. So it's a really, cool middle ground.
Thank you, thank you. Something else that was also very interesting, you told people that you like to read novels that end well.
Yeah.
Which means that you probably should not read Anna Karenina.
Yeah.
What's your favorite novel and why?
Okay, I feel like my answer is not going to be original because it will be Harry Potter. I grew up with it. I was obsessed with it. At one point, it was even my entire personality. And then I grew up and I went on Twitter. but yeah, it taught me a lot of things. It taught me to be brave. It taught me to be loyal. It taught me to persevere. And it also taught me not to believe people who can, separate their soul in 7 pieces. So that would be my answer.
That's a lovely summary. Max Griera from Spain. You have said that one of your main topics of interest is the European elections. Very good. What do you think can be done to increase voter turnout in next year's very important elections?
So, of course, this is a very old debate, right? But I think if we put it into context, we have an EURobarometer in June that said that the voting turnout will be around 65%. If we look at Spain, we had elections in July, the voter turnout was 65, and now for Slovakia elections, it was 68. So I don't think we're that bad at the EU level when it comes to voting turnout. And of course, I think there's certain things we can do. We could, for example, throw more money into fancy campaigns. But I think the solution to get more voting turnout, even though, as I said, I think we're pretty good, we'll see the final result in June, but yeah, it's to reform the way we elect our MEPs. Because at the moment, I feel like the way we elect them, it's quite far from citizens, from them, right? So there's 3 ways in which I think we could improve that. First of all, the Spitzenkandidat system that now has been kind of killed by EU member states. Juncker was elected by the system, which basically the Spitzenkandidat means that each European political party has a lead candidate and then people can root behind them. And then the winner, like with the most votes, the party with the most votes, would have the position of the Commission presidency. But then we came to 2019, and Weber, the president of the European People's Party, who was supposed to become Commission president, EU countries decided instead to put Ursula von der Leyen. So I think, indeed, sticking to this system of Spitzenkandidaten would make people feel closer to a political figure that could rally people to vote behind them. The other way is transnational lists, which, again, has been killed by EU member states. Transnational lists would allow people to elect MEPs from transnational constituencies, so it would break this barrier of member state to member state that would make this voting more of a cross-border thing. And the last thing, that it's an idea I heard recently, that of course it wouldn't work, but I think it's nice to think about it, is that it would be interesting if in each member state they would get the chance to directly elect their commissioner, right? Because at the moment, the commissioners are proposed by the member states. So if each political party in member states had a lead candidate that afterwards would become the commissioner, I think this would really play out when it comes to campaigning at the local level. It would be more feasible, right? Not feasible, tangible. But of course, we would end up with a very dysfunctional commission because we would have a lot of different candidates that maybe cannot work well together.
Thank you very much. I very much like your thinking. Continue to feed the debate, please, because it's a very important topic. Something else I wanted to ask you, not about European elections, is the fact that apparently your favorite things are people, sun, fries, dogs, and Copenhagen. Is it in that order, or?
Well, also a bit of context for this. So basically, I always ask when I meet someone, what are your 3 favorite things in the world? Because I think it gives a lot of context on who that person is. So when presenting myself, I always write also favorite things. There's not an order, and it constantly changes. Now it has changed. I would say that my 3 favorite things in the world now are exploring cities, for example, exploring Europe. Fries, I love fries. I absolutely love fries, and I'm in the perfect country for it. And the third, the sun. I miss the sun. Even though now, now, well, 1 year into Brussels, I think some of us here, we can relate. Even though now we have very good weather, very soon we won't have it anymore. But yeah.
Thank you. I'm sure you know there's a very good fries place on the Place Jourdan that will bring sun to your heart and stomach. Now, ladies and gentlemen, one person is unfortunately not on stage. That's Nicole Pinosova. She's competing together with Imo and Sarah in the photo competition for the 3rd Megalizzi-Niedzielski photo competition prize. She's a talented young journalist from the Czech Republic. She's passionate about Spain and the Spanish language. Who isn't? And she's also certified in first aid. Unfortunately, she could not be with us on stage today. But in spite of her absence, I would like you all to give her a very warm hand. And then we go to Olena Martinyuk from Ukraine. Olena, your work has documented the hardships people face because of the Russian war against Ukraine. You covered war crimes, you covered work with traumatized soldiers. Can you tell us about what you experienced and learned there?
First of all, hello. And what I learned, actually, I worked for evacuated and displaced people for like the very beginning of the war with Russia, was the Great War. And what I saw and what I experienced is a great pride to be the part of that nation, because I've seen people become heroes. I've seen people who evacuate the whole flat of people, being evacuated from Mariupol, from Kherson, from other cities of Ukraine. And I've seen so much bravery in that. And so much love. I would say it's the most important thing. I've seen so much love that beat any pain, any loss, anything. And what I've experienced the most is pride. I guess that's the answer.
Thank you. It's very obvious that your work puts you in very ugly and cruel environments, and in spite of that, you've indeed said somewhere that people are beautiful from the inside. It's a bit what you said before, but could you develop that a little bit more? You said that it's your job to show that to the world. How do you mean?
As I said before, I saw a lot of people became heroes, ordinary people. I saw them, I write whole pieces of people that just lost everyone in the first parts of the Great War, and then came back and helped to evacuate, to deoccupy, to heal the wounds. And it's something that beautiful that you can't recognize it in everyday life. But it's something that just stays with you in everything you're doing. And it's not only about the beauty, but about the gratitude. So I do believe that when people became heroes, it's not something normal. It's not something that should be. We need heroes when everything falls down. But I do believe that we all have it inside, and my people do.
Again. And then Sarah Fachko from Croatia. You're participating in the photo competition, but you're actually working as a radio host for HRT Radio in Pula.
Exactly.
Can you give us some radio tips to make sure that you keep your audience entertained?
Thank you for the question. Since I've worked for a student radio show, humor and some colloquial language is always a plus. You can engage with your audience by posting on social media some kind of polls or votes for songs they would like to hear. Or you can always engage like phone-ins. So they tell what's up, what's going on in their student life. Also, plus, you can always give some free tickets for some concerts or some other events. They will gladly accept. And I think that you should keep it interesting, but still very short because it's a radio format. 5 to 7 minutes is simple and enough. That's it.
Thank you. Make sure to bear it in mind, guys. A difficult question now for you. Everybody has a difficult question here. You told us that your hobby is scuba diving. You have a license for scuba diving. Now, is there anything that you learned in scuba diving that can be useful or that can be applied in journalism?
Actually, to radio journalism, a lot of things. First of all, you have to be well prepared for the radio, for the sea. You have to check your equipment. You have to make sure that everything is right and correct, the information you are giving. You should think about breathing. So only 2 situations, when you're with a microphone and you're at the sea, you have to actually think about the breathing. You should communicate with your colleagues, but you cannot communicate while you with the microphone. You use your hand signals in the sea and in the studio. And what else? Always be prepared for changes, because situations can change in the sea, in the studio, of course, and be a chameleon. I think that you should be able to do that. And yeah, and think about the safety if you're reporting from the streets. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We all should take up scuba diving. So we have 9 brilliant people here. But before we're going to tell you who are the winners, I would like to invite first Commissioner Ferreira, Mr. Omarjee, and Mrs. Christofidou to come on stage. And they'll make a few presentations and keynote comments, please. Commissioner, welcome. May I ask you to say a few words?
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure meeting you all. You are brilliant, funny, intelligent, generous people, and it has been a pleasure listening to you. Secondly, I think, in fact, bringing you to the front line is the best thing we can do to honor the memory of these 2 great journalists that unfortunately are not among us physically, but it's the way to perpetuate their presence, their memory, and to make sure that their work is not forgotten. And it was great to see that what we have done in 2019 has a consequence that young people, were stimulated to go on, to develop their talents, and that it worked. I think I decided to take a quote from the Nobel Prize winner, Elie Wiesel, that said, we must always take sides, because silence helps the oppressor, never the victim. And I think this is a great message, particularly for young people that do some brave work, because in fact giving visibility that is sometimes uncomfortable, but it is the truth. And we just saw so many examples of how you can take from the shadow the cases, the causes, by making them known and interpreting them so that people actually understand what is going on in the world. And in fact, there is a lot of fear from the powerful, from the mighty people. There is a lot of fear from words, from those that speak out. So I think it is important that you keep speaking out, that you keep showing what needs to be shown, so that we all as a community, that we take the right decisions, not decisions that are twisted, that are managed, and that are, I think, sometimes really mastered by less clear interests that are behind the scene, playing with our opinions and with our feelings. So I think that in this present context, and because I just want to make some two or three short comments, I think we are living in very, very difficult times in which the work that you do and how you do it has an extra relevance. And I think we should underline that whatever happens, we have our firm convictions to go on supporting and keeping, recognizing and helping, if possible, the courageous people of Ukraine. You just mentioned it, but it is so close and it is so dramatic. Of course, in the meantime, other dramatic things happened. So dramatic things are always happening around us. Second, I think that the Commission, apart from this kind of visibility and support that we try to bring to the front line young talents, we also have proposed what we call a Media Freedom Act. In fact, because we believe and we trust that until the end of this period, we'll be able to have the approval of the European Parliament, and my dear colleague, Mr. Omarjee, is here on my right, leading the Regi Committee, being permanently attentive and helpful. In fact, but the Parliament will have to take a position on that, as well as the Council, because we want really to do something else from a legislative perspective to protect media independence, media pluralism, to protect journalism against political interference, and ensure stable funding for the press, as well as a European watchdog for freedom, for the freedom of the media. We will also act to protect journalists against harassment, including through the lawsuits, which powerful and wealthy people use very often, and I already referred to this, to intimidate journalists. And thirdly, here in cohesion policy, and I would like to call your attention to our very active new Director General, Temis, that is here on my left, and she's managing now with a very, very good team, EURegio. But in cohesion policy, we'll continue to support independent journalism. In the last 6 years, we have supported 150 media organizations with a total of 35 million euros. And today, I am proud to announce, and also I want you to know about it, that we are opening our 7th call for works, for pieces of work coming from young journalists. It's the 7th time we do this, and we provide grants of up to 300,000 euros for press articles, videos, and coverage through radio, TV, or social media. There are no strings attached, so we are interested in raising our interest for cohesion policy, for development. You mentioned Vidin. I've been in Vidin, but a lot of people may ignore how beautiful the castle is, how beautiful the historical life of Vidin is. and also to be so close to the Danube. But of course, it takes a long time to get there. I recognize that. but in fact, there is so much to be shown, what we can do, how we can do it. So bringing other regions, other areas to the front line. So, but you are not, there are no strings attached. So on cohesion policy, criticism is welcomed. You can see what is working, but you can also point to what is not working or what could work better, so that in fact we can improve what we do. And this is most welcome. The deadline for applications is in January, and of course more details you can check in the website and you'll have all the information. But I really wanted you to be also, knowledgeable about this, you and your colleagues and your friends. So let me finish by encouraging all of you, in fact, to speak out when we see oppression, to speak out when we see injustice, to speak out, because today more than ever there is a need for those who break the silence and those who shine the bright daylight of truth into every corner of our European home. This is how we honor Antonio and Bartek. This is how we build a free and democratic future. And this is our commitment together as Europeans. We count on you, young, brave, intelligent, bright journalists. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also very happy that we have with us Mr. Omarjee, who is a member of the European Parliament and the chairman of the Regio Committee. Mr. Omarjee, please.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much. I'm going to demonstrate some diversity here and some linguistic diversity above all in this discussion. Allow me, first and foremost, please, to honor the memory of Antonio and Bartek. My thoughts are with their families. Antonio and Bartek had qualities that I believe you share. A European mind, a European spirit, and incredibly courageous souls. We also think about all journalists here who today are sharing information from some very dangerous places in Ukraine, in Israel, and in Palestine. You mentioned this yourself, Commissioner. And all these journalists show us that you need to be courageous in this career that you are now undertaking. Allow me to give you some tips. You may be able to give me tips on politics, but I can say that for journalists have a perpetual worry when it comes to truth. We've never seen so much circulation of information. We're seeing how information is spread at an incredible speed. We're seeing disinformation spread. Ultimately, journalists are the ones whom we must rely upon in order to have true information. The European Union cannot be a proper democracy without independent journalism. Journalistic independence, though, must be enshrined in law, and that's upon us all. But you as well are in charge of your own independence. You can never give in to oppression. You need to always be able to stand up against power. just like opposition parliamentarians do too. They ensure that those governing are aware of their place, their position. That's how democracy works. Equally, I want to share the following with you. Commissioner, Director General, and myself often say that focusing on Europe is important, that we talk about Europe a lot, and we have to be up to what we deliver to our European citizens. Because equally we see, and we're saddened to see, anti-European discourse dominate debate. You need to ensure that the real information from these institutions reaches the people. You need to understand how cohesion policies are proper, beautiful illustrations of solidarity. I wish you a wonderful career. If you're here among us today, it really shows that you're on the good path already. Thank you.
And then I'm also very happy that we have with us Mrs. Christophidou, who is the new Director General of one of the top-notch DGs of the European Commission. Please, could you say a few words?
My colleagues will love the top-notch part. Dear families of Antonio and Bartek, dear Commissioner, dear President, ladies and gentlemen, a free, independent press is essential for the progress of democracy and of the European project. A lot has been said already about this. In the past years, this has become even more valid as we're fighting against disinformation and misinformation. In addressing these challenges, journalists like you, of course, play a key role to inform, to criticize, and to stimulate debate. Listening to you, young people here on this stage, I actually feel very hopeful. You're young, you're talented, and you already have achievements that you should be very proud of. You're walking a path that is not easy, but can be so rewarding. As the Commissioner highlighted, it is our duty to support you. And we do this with the means we have, be it with funding or educational opportunities. For example, we are financing journalism schools across the EU to open online courses about the EU and cohesion policy. We hope this will open the door to future journalists to cover EU topics by providing the necessary background. We also organize regular study trips for journalists to Brussels and to the EU institutions to offer a view from the inside and interact directly with policymakers. Before we move towards the most awaited moment of the night, I would like to say a final word on the 3 pictures that were in the photo competition for the public's vote. One photo shows the construction of a competence center, the other photo, a medical training center, and the third one, an urban farming project. We always say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and this could not be more true. These photos are testimonies to the benefit of belonging to the EU family and of cohesion policy in particular. The 3 photos highlight the problems that we are working to solve together. They demonstrate how projects take time and resources, but the European Union is happening. Europe is being built with each new training hour provided. It's being built with every farm work done. It's being built with 1 brick at a time. I thank all journalists who dedicate their work and lives in communicating about Europe and what it stands for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, this is the moment. We're going to discover it now, who are the 3 winners. we have a commissioner, chairman of the Regio Committee, and Ms. Christophidou, who are each going to announce one of the three winners. So, may I ask first Commissioner Ferreira to announce the first winner of the 5th edition of the Megalizzi-Niedzielski Prize.
I was given a paper, I've got to go back. And the first winner of the 2023 Megalizzi-Niedzielski Prize is, she's from Ukraine. It is Olena Martiniuk.
But I told you we have three winners today. So, Mr. Omarjee is now going to announce who is the second winner of this prize.
La seconde
The second winner comes from Bulgaria, Antonina Lozanova.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the third winner. Tension is rising. The third winner will be announced by Mrs. Christophidou.
And the third winner is from Croatia, and it's Sara Fatsko.
Also, my very, very warm congratulations to the winners. I don't let you go yet, because first I'm still going to ask you a few questions. 2 questions each. The first thing I would like to know is, well, each one of you, of the winners, will receive a photo camera and a rail trip across the European Union in 2024. So the obvious question is, where are you going to go and why?
I'll definitely would like to see Bled Island in Slovenia, because it's so incredibly beautiful and not very widely known, and it's something from the fairy tales, you know? Everybody wants to be in a fairy tale for a while.
Thank you.
Okay, me. Sorry, I'm still under impression. Well, I would really like to see Sweden and Denmark. Yes. So the
Good
reason
choice.
is obsession with Vikings.
Well, for me, it's definitely Croatia, so I hope that you take me around.
I will.
Glad so.
Thank you. And still one question I would like to ask each one of you. So you're in front here of an EU-wide audience. We have on the podium some very important people. Chairman of the Regio Committee, Commissioner, Director General. Now is the moment that you have to pass them some important messages. What would you like to tell these people?
As you already know, I'm from Ukraine, and for me being here was paid a very high price. And this price is higher with every day. we know that we fight, and we will continue to do this. And I already said, we not only fight, we love, we believe in our future, we do everything we can for that. But we need help and we need you. We are already Europeans, and I do believe that we'll be in the European Union, but we need you to write about us, support us in any way, because there is something that we could bring to the EU, and we'll definitely will. We need you, and you need us.
Well, Croatia is a very young country in the EU, and I think that in the name of whole Croatia, I want to thank you for letting us join in and for giving this huge opportunity. And please do the same the next years as well, so other young people can come here as well. So thank you from the heart. Thank you.
It's pretty hard to talk right now, but just know that the northwestern part of Bulgaria needs your help. It already receives it, but believe me, many young people are returning, like me. We're determined to change everything so it becomes better for us and better for Bulgaria. We need you, that's all.
So, ladies and gentlemen, with these important and I think inspiring words, this 5th edition of the Megalizzi-Niedzielski Awards has come to an end. But let's not forget that the best way to honor Antonio and Bartek is to do what they did every day. That's to stand for excellent journalism, and that is to stand for the values that the European Union continues to fight for every day. This is in any case something that the young people that you see here on stage have been doing and will continue to do, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Ladies and gentlemen, have a nice evening. For the people in the room, there is still a reception. Thank you very much, and see you soon.